Yo. What's good, my brothers?
What's
What's
going on,
happening,
bro?
bro?
And today we back with another Breaking the Narrative podcast, BTN for short. And I'm Teddy.
I'm Tony.
I'm Mark Anthony.
Oh, so I thought he was about to say I'm Ralph.
Yeah.
He was like,
Is it
nigga.
not the also real today? Just a little bit real.
From
not really,
now
not really.
on, your name is fucking Ralph.
Not really at all today. What's going on? What's the Ralph
Real
thing?
was in there.
Oh, real?
It wasn't just the old.
Oh, so Ralph.
Okay, so it's levels to it. So oh so real or just real.
Nah, I'm just Mark Anthony today.
Okay.
The oh so existing Mark Anthony.
Yeah. And today we're gonna talk about relationships and can you be in a healthy relationship while broke? Don't know about y'all, but I've been in quite a few relationships while broke. What about y'all?
Well, first and foremost, what do you really consider as broke, though?
Mm.
Like people, I believe people have their own form of definition of broke
Mhm.
or levels of broke.
Okay. I would say financially unstable.
Oh, that's down to everybody.
Think so?
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
I mean, because there is, like, of course, you got it or you have something,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't got it to be doing everything that you want to really
Right.
participate in. I mean, which of course is understandable because that literally is almost everybody, and on top of that, that is, I mean, of course, it's just a matter of you like knowing how to manage your money.
That's
Like,
true too.
Like depending, like, is this really necessary? Of course, you want to have some fun time,
Mm-hmm.
but what's really necessary?
Okay. So, like, what if your partner is like holding you to a certain standard, though?
Then that shit ain't gonna fucking work.
Yeah. So, and the question is, so there's only one person that's broke in this situation.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we can cover all the bases, though. We can this time we can do one person. The next scenario could be both people, and then we can do the perfect scenario where neither one is broke. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Well, then, to me, then typically I would believe that it really depends on the person who actually has the money,
Mm-hmm.
how much tolerance they actually have,
Okay.
because it's either you're in this situation. It could be a number of situations. You could either be with that person, and they had money and they end up going broke,
Mhm.
or starting to have less finances than what they originally had when you first met them,
Mm-hmm.
or you already knew that they were that, and you was like, okay, I'm willing to deal with that. Some people will then eventually will renege on that situation, but it all depends on what that person that's broke is doing. Like, are they attempting to do anything to really make the money, or they're just like, well, fuck it, it is what it is,
yeah,
type shit.
I was probably gonna say the exact same shit because people do tend to like either waver when the person, well, probably they're more than likely going to waver when the person that they are quote unquote taking care of
Mm-hmm.
is not doing anything to better themselves. That's when it becomes a problem
Okay.
because I know like there are a lot of times where there's a woman taking care of a man, literally in a relationship, and she's dealing with him not doing anything to better himself and he's just existing.
Right.
That's why I feel like there's a huge amount of scrutiny that comes with people who do that.
Okay.
Like if you're gonna just sit in the house and do nothing, you deserve to be scrutinized.
Well, to that, I mean, as far as scrutiny goes, I wouldn't take it that far. But of course, I do see the issue where it's like you're not really attempting to become better in yourself. But like I said, it all depends on when you're entering the relationship. For if you are entering the relationship and you know that there's a situation, because first and foremost, if, like, for example, if a woman was trying to get with a man,
Mm-hmm.
and the only sole priority that you have is just to be financially taken care of, that's already an issue from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're in a relationship not for the man himself, but for his money.
Right.
So like you got to see where the man or woman, complements even without the financial situation. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of like listen to certain things on YouTube like that all the time. I listen, check out other podcasts, and so sometimes they definitely talk a lot about financial situations. And one of the most $1,000,000 questions that I've heard on one of the podcasts was, why is it that a woman will get so bent out of shape if a man was to ask, what do you bring to the table, type of thing. So a woman was just like, yeah, I need to be taken care of, and this, and this, and everything just sounded like financial.
Right.
Like,
right.
so far it was just financial. And then she was like, well, yeah. And the dude was like, what if he was to end up being injured and all this other stuff in a wheelchair? Because she was like, yeah, I want a man to take care of me. But the dude was like, well, if he was to end up in a wheelchair or anything like that, she said, well, basically, I'll go ahead and try it. It sounds like she'll tolerate it for a certain period of time, but eventually she said herself she'll leave.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like, well, how is it that you want to be taken care of, but you're not willing to do the same?
Yeah.
Given that you were in the same circumstance, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Stuff like that. It happens. I don't have any gripes with people who are going through tough times and they physically can't take care of themselves at that point. Like those people, you have to omit completely, because the stars are not aligning for them at that point in time, and they're going through something that a lot of people don't. So you can empathize with them, but at the same time, you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
So those people you omit. But I'm talking about, like, when I mentioned the people who deserve scrutiny, I'm talking about the ones who are physically capable of doing things and are more than willing to just sit at home and do nothing.
Yeah,
those are the people that I was talking
and
about.
then of course that's when it's just like disrespectful.
Yes,
but to put it on top of basically on people who are being admitted. Excuse me, sorry, I'm a little close. For those who were being admitted, I'm gonna just throw it out there for those who like to call themselves kings and queens. So what a old school definition of what a king and queen is, if you want to look at how their lifestyle is, typically in a kingdom, the queen is out there as like the go-getter, and so the king is like the housing. So he's basically the platform, the housing. He makes the decisions or whatever, but it's the woman that's out there in the field. She's the executioner for things, just like chess. Really, you're protecting the king, but you got the queen out there who's the heavy hitter for real.
Right.
So, but what I was getting with that is basically, if you are incapable of doing certain things, like for example, being handicapped or whatever it is that you lack, you might have an idea of also, just to stick to the financial subject, you might have an idea of how you can accumulate more money. It's just that, well, I'm incapable of doing this, or I'm incapable of doing that. Kind of like a situation where it's like, look, I don't have the good credit, so by certificate or signing of anything, we can't get the home under my card or my name. But you got the good credit, but this is how I'm gonna make sure that you got the money to keep making this payment, type of thing.
Okay.
Now, of course, to a lot of people, it'll sound a little far-fetched, because it's just like, a lot of people just go, what the fuck you mean? No, nigga, like, you got the brains, then you can go ahead and accumulate the money.
Right.
Sure, but this is how we both can do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like I say, it's teamwork. It ain't going to be just, well, like, yeah, man, I'm going to make this amount of money, because if I make it and it's going in my pocket, it's going in my pocket. But then I'm going to split it with you. Nah, this is how we both can go and accumulate this money. Double the finance, if anything.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So have you been a part of any relationships like that?
Absolutely. I have been in a relationship or a dealing, I should say, where the money was not all too great. So for one, it was difficult for me because I wasn't used to not really, at a certain point, I was not used to not having my own money.
Okay.
Like, I have always had these different types of jobs or whatever. Now, literally, it was like, there was jobs where things had just gone slow, or it was just unfortunate and it was out of my control, so I couldn't have that job anymore. So, I couldn't make the dimes that I wanted to. I end up working at one place, well, a couple avenues, but for one company out in D.C. Now, the wage and everything was fine. It was just that it wasn't enough hours to really do it. It was like an odd job type of thing.
Okay.
So, and also what was a kick in the ass about it was so much money was going into the travel after making the money in the first place. But I ended up dealing with a girl who was just so used to the finances, because that's the type of man she was dealing with. When you see a beautiful girl out there, the first strike that they have is to, well, I got the cash, I got the money, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So they got used to those customs, no matter whether they have it or not themselves. They're just used to the man having that. And so a type of idea of a man was depicted, but it was hard to deal with because that financial situation was always brought up. And then she always wanted to do things. She wanted this and she wanted that and so on. And it was just like, all right, cool, I get it. But you can't keep bringing this up because, one, you're not making the situation better. And two, it's just like whatever ideas you have right now is not working.
Right.
So, yeah, even though I had the very little finance I did what I could and did what, even when it came to extra little things, I made it. There were sacrifices.
Right.
There was times like literally I had just a few cents in my account.
Right.
Like I've seen my account get that fucking low.
Okay.
And so things had got bad. But then when COVID and everything, well, it got worse once COVID hit because the job I was doing, I had to work with crowds. Having a big ass crowd so close to the White House and all that was a conflict of interest during COVID.
Right.
So the company just had to come to a halt. Now I was really hurting. But then, of course, I was always against unemployment because, one, I didn't know too much about it, and two, I was worried about having to owe money back. But I finally filed for unemployment, and then I found out it got better because basically it was due to COVID. It was like, oh, well, he's just not going to work. No, I was always going to go and get my money.
Right.
And I've proven that to myself. There was a time I actually went to work and worked 17 hours straight, and I walked from Palmer Park to Kentland in a snowstorm, and there was already feet of snow on the ground. So,
right, niggas, going on a whole adventure out here.
Exactly. So I know I had to go get it. So, it's just that, one, the money management was not all too great, and of course the money started to dwindle a lot more because I had friends that were coming back around, and I was so worried about being sociable and just helping friends out and shit like that. The money started to go out more than it was coming in.
Right.
The pace was too quick. So dealing with her, she was just always had to bring up the money situation, but always wanted to ask for a few dollars. And of course, it literally was just a few dollars, $10, $20, blah, blah, blah. What my biggest issue when it came to her, though, was what she was asking for the money for, because there was somebody else she was still dealing with or interested in or emotionally connected to. So I had to be very aware of where my money was going because, I get so much gripe from the other side.
Right.
But if I'm putting any type of finance in, it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But now when COVID started happening, things started to get a little better. Of course, I was out here still searching for work, and I was always searching for work. I was always trying to find a way. Shit just wasn't happening. But then I landed a job in optometry, so that happened, and I just got to saving. I already still had other money. I already had thousands of dollars to the side, but now it's just like landing this. I was like, okay, so I got this, and I'm gonna just try to sit on money. And me, I don't do too much. And I'm not too sociable, and my circle has gotten smaller now, so it's a little easier to save money. Unless, if I find an interest in something that I want to go get, then fine.
Right.
But I just started sitting on money. So I continue to sit on money and going to make money. And then that's how the cycle ended up starting. So it's like now I got the financial situation unpacked. And then on top of that, I'm doing more. I'm becoming my own boss now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also doing stuff on the side with vending and everything like that. My brain is just like, all right, cool. Like, you got to be your own boss now because you tired of working for somebody else.
Right.
You gonna work just for you. You gonna work for you. So now I'm getting all that done, and it's just like it sucked because when the financial situation was really picking up, that's when things were going south.
Mm.
It started going south even more because there was more of a reliance on the money. And see, it was the things what she was requesting for was simple. It was easy. But then there was also other things that was coming up. There was more of the material things before the actual needs. Like, me and my son got to eat. We got to eat. And then there was times I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go get this. Like, there's times I went to go get groceries or whatever. Or there's times I actually had boxes of groceries for her, but there was really no way of me getting it to her
Right.
at the time. And it's just like, this is fresh produce. This, like, it has to be an hour, never type of thing.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to bring a fucked up produce to you. But so things like that grew. And so she just got, I guess, also in the back of her head, she was just like, I got tired of not really doing nothing. I want to do super great things. I want to travel, which was all in play. I already had plans for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I guess she lost her patience. She didn't want to wait a little longer, but also what on top of that, and we talked about it before, where there was a mentioning of me going out with a coworker that I've only known for maybe no more, not even a month yet or whatever, because yes, I lived around here or in Landover, but I wasn't too familiar with Forestville for a grip because I ain't never come to Forestville for like years until I started working out here.
Right.
So she was showing me all the places to eat at and shit like that. And so that one time when my coworker went with me to help me pick out some stuff for that picnic, and I told her about it, she threw a fit. She's just like, the idea of me being around other females and all this other stuff, I don't know. I think a conscious thing picked up because she also had the mention of other men being around, and it was always that one thing, that hurtful saying, "What you don't do, another man will."
Right.
I've heard that so much,
Right.
especially when the financial situation came in. But I still had the plan to do whatever it is I did when the money was coming in. I was just like, cool, let me get all this up because I got big things coming. I'm talking about living situations, all that. Like, things are gonna happen.
Right.
If you were here long enough to see it. But she left,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a loss now. Now, I mean, of course, it's just me, myself, and I. So like, it's easier now for me to have the financial situations when you guys try to say, "Oh, well, yeah, you're rich," because I don't do much. I really don't. It's like there's something I'm starting to do a little more now, but like now what I'm practically doing is making money and kind of sitting on it and still trying to find out other ways to continue to make more. Like now I'm getting more in investments.
Right.
And shit like that, and other things that I have more control of, hands-on, like literally hands-on shit, where I can, like, if I want to do this tomorrow, I can.
Right.
And I'm going to go ahead and get, a few dollars off of this, and then boom, 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 boom. Because if I want to, like, for every second that I'm breathing, I can make a few cents every time I breathe. So, but being not as financially in debt in that relationship, that definitely was hurtful because that was the main thing that was really brought up most of the time, and it built animosity, and it took some time to get over. Though I was still pushing forward, it was still something that stuck, and it was a bad foundation that was already being made.
So do you think after a while, like, she didn't even really feel that way, but she would just say that because she knew it would get to you?
There's times I did think that,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously I stayed long enough for her to continue to do it again.
Right.
There was something that was within me that I self-talked about for her to have the opportunity to do that shit over and over. Also, I kind of think that there was a time that she was bored or she was just hurt. And it was just like she had a hard time to admit that.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I try to be more transparent. I definitely was a lot softer. I grew aggressive with her because of the encounters that I started having from her.
Mm-hmm.
To a point, at first, it was just like I was being a pushover. I was forgiving, and a lot of things, people would be like, nigga, I wouldn't have fucking forgive that.
Okay.
And I pushed forward, it was just like, all right, well, and I was like, I understand, you're just hurt or this, and this. there was no communication for real, for real. It was just like I want, and the fact that I'm not getting it, and I had to deal with that before. But another man from, I'm tired of dealing with that type of thing. I get it, but I'm not really that person. I just literally just, you came in at a point where I just had some random ass bad luck because me not having the finances in my pocket, like this was a little rare for me too.
Right.
So, you know, just the energy that I was getting from that, it just literally, that was the foundation that was being built on top of other skeptical things. But it was just like, all right, well, you look, I'm hoping that you stay here long enough because I definitely got plans. And then next thing you know, it's just like she was kaput. She was just like, all right, I'm done. But then it also was a kick in the ass for me still, as well as I seen her also quoting certain things. It's not about how much money a man has and this, and this, because now the act right she got the act right after leaving.
Right.
And is now was able to portray that to somebody else.
Right.
And I was just like, now you got the sense all of a sudden type of shit. And I was just like, come on now. Like, you had no clue what it was that I had going down. And so I never really discussed how much money I had with her until one day. And she was just like, how much, you know, and I said it. And she was just like, you got this much? I was just like, yeah. But for one, I put it to a point where I didn't have just simple access. Like, well, I'm going to just take this and just, no, I set it to a point where I would have to sit on it.
Okay.
And so I was just like, look, this is for this. Like, trust me, there's a building to this. And this is for something far bigger than just something simple right now. But of course, I am still making the few that I can do certain things. But she wasn't there long enough to enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like the very moment before I started getting the first, you know, few payments from the work that I do, she was already out.
Right.
Like she was hardly, experiencing it.
That's good for you though. Like you don't want people around like that.
Yeah, and
Definitely
that
don't.
actually was, it was a regretful thing that I thought of saying, but also I guess it kind of makes sense because there was a situation where it just like, again, it was like financial skepticism. She wanted me to do something. I was like, all right, cool, but I could do it for me and her, but for her peoples, I just like, look, I would like to have a conversation with all the people who's going to be involved so we know how the financial situation is going to be, because I can take care of us, but I'm not going to be so extra willing to take care of somebody else if the situation, because she explained something to me that it was a bit of a financial situation. I was like, all right, so how are we going to get this payment taken care of type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a fit. Then it had me thinking, I was just like, Lord God, like if this is a situation where it was just like about the money right now, like, can we please put a fix to this right now? Now, of course, I didn't have the intentions for things to fall apart. And I don't know if it happened off of that prayer or what, but I was just like, I just need you to give me the sense of knowing what this is right now so I know how to handle it. Like, so I know what type of approach to take to this. Because I'm not going to be taking care of everybody, especially for somebody who probably had no intentions of taking care of me or looking out for me.
Right.
Now, doing it for me and mine, sure, because that's for me and mine. That's what I mentally invested in. That's what I came to. I kept coming to terms that I was like, all right, well, this was already brought to my attention, and then I'm still here. So obviously, I'm willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I don't want to do that all the time where it's just me, but at some point, I am.
Right.
Hey, damn good lesson you learned. I would say that.
Albeit,
It's a lot of lessons to learn from that, but for that situation itself, literally, it's just like I knew who I was. I just don't think she knew who I was. I think when she met me, she was just like, "You're just this broke nigga." First and foremost, you don't know what my resume is,
right,
at all. Like I'm
a arrogance coming out.
I'm a working no, and I'm gonna have to be like, I'm gonna have to say that, because one, I know who I am, I know my worth. I've worked for people who don't even know how well of a worker I am or was.
right.
Like, come on now, like seriously, like especially now a lot of jobs don't even look at resumes. And I even had to say that now. I'm like, bro, do you know who you have working for you right now? You really don't. You don't even know the endeavors that I have done, especially at such a young age.
Right.
You have no fucking clue. the arrogance of some people where they just see the now or whatever is just like
Or as long as you're making the company like money, you
yeah.
just on par with like the budget.
yeah, but also like not just with just employers, but with people in general. They see what's in front of them right now, and they be like, all right, well that's it.
Yeah.
But they don't do their homework, so they don't see the
Yeah.
value of the person.
Well, that could be a ploy too, because it's like you could if they did that, you would appear probably to be more valuable than they are, and then that causes insecurities. Like I
I
don't
would say
know.
first and foremost, like you don't really have to, with me, and I've always told people that I've dealt with, friends, relationships, all that, you don't need to be insecure with me. I understand that's a human thing, but first and foremost,
No, that's not a human.
like, like,
Yeah, that's not a
like
human thing.
who am I for you to really be insecure about it and feel like you can't talk to me about it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
that's fear. That's fear. That comes with fear. Like
I felt like that I've always that I put myself in plenty of situations where, of course, and I know I have, where I've could have been talked about in the conversation, kicked in the conversation, or it could have been ammunition for an argument.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I put myself in a position where it's just like, yeah, like you don't have to fear nothing with me, really. Like we can talk about this for real. Because again, you human being, I'm human being. Like the fuck, I'm not God.
Yeah.
I'm not like super. I'm the word divine. I'm not divine where you feel like you can't approach me and say hi, hello, or whatever, or hey, can we talk about this? Obviously, especially like arguments. I've had arguments where things are just like, yo, damn, like you really did that type of shit or whatever. But also, I'm not saying that as I'm better than you. I'm just like, do you hear how this situation sounds type of thing?
Right.
Or
right,
there's
right.
times I'm just like, well, damn, like that's fucked up or that hurts or whatever. But all right, cool. Like we talking about it. Let's talk about it. Like, how do you feel? So if you ever feel insecure because of financial situations, I'm not ever that financially ahead for you to just feel insecure. Even if I am, a billionaire or whatever, I don't give a fuck. It's just like, come talk to me. You don't have to feel
Yeah.
insecure because at the same time, I needed help to get there in the first place. I always had to have a stepping stone at some point to get there.
Right. That's just you coming with no pride, and then other people tend
But
to have.
you got to do that though.
Like certain people tend to take advantage. Well, no, I'm not gonna say. A lot of people tend to take advantage of the people who are coming off as easy money. That's first and foremost with your situation that you were in, because the woman that you were with, like she was like, oh, this is just gonna be, like he's just a regular guy. I can get over on him. That's where the mindset comes in.
Well, as far as the regular guy, I don't know what you're getting over on because I didn't have nothing at that time.
Yeah, but you were tolerating so much. Like nobody in their right mind. You technically weren't in your right mind at that point in time. Like no one in their right mind would tolerate that. I've been there.
I mean, to a sense, and I've seen people who are considered as being in their right mind who's tolerating it right now.
Okay.
But now it's all about also the reaction of what it is that you do for what you would consider as tolerating it. Because eventually I got to a point where it's just like, yo, enough is enough. Like I start clapping back.
Anybody who's like willingly staying in that is not in their right mind, because anyone in their right mind would immediately just say, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, there's times I definitely wanted to say I'm done, but there's times I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to stay silent and just let that shit flow the fuck through. And, of course, when you come back to me, of course, then obviously, I would assume that you were ready to be sensible about the situation. But, of course, when there's just arguments back and forth, it's just like, bro, like, at that time where it was like enough is enough type of thing, I was already emotionally invested, to keep it 100. So it was just like more difficult to step out of. And another thing that kept playing in the back of my head was like, after all that we've been through so far, it would have been all for nothing if I just drop it and leave it now. Now, I mean, of course, there's times I really be like, well, I wish I would have left or whatever. But, I mean, it is a learning lesson and shit like that. And it's just it's a better mode for whoever's going to come next. Who's ever going to be here that's going to be with me at that time is definitely an awesome mode for what's coming next out of me, because I've gotten better. And on top of that, I've reached new heights of finances now. Like, at first, I was just a person who was just making money, and I knew a little bit of management. Now I'm making money, and I'm getting better at management. And on top of that, I'm investing. So, there's that on top of who I am as a personally as a man now anyway. So, it had to, at this point, instead of just saying, I regret it, which I can, I'm just going to be like, nah, it got better. Like, this needed to happen.
Okay. I get that. I get the fact that you say, yeah, it needed to happen. A lot of things need to happen in order for us to learn.
If it had not happened, I probably would have been still that simple fucked up person.
Like I said, you weren't in your right mind in that relationship. Like, what I'm getting at is not necessarily just saying that, hey, you were wrong in all aspects. That's not what I'm saying. Like, you're kind of like taking it in like sort of like the wrong direction. Just me like trying to bash almost. No, like me saying like you weren't in your right mind is just me saying that you weren't emotionally capable of detaching yourself from a person who was wrong for you. That's not being in your right mind. Like, you allowed your emotions to further push you into a relationship with somebody who wasn't worth your while, which is the problem with a lot of men nowadays. We will emotionally invest ourselves in women who are not good for us, mainly because they offer something that we can't get anywhere else, or what we believe we cannot get anywhere else.
Well, it's not entirely what I felt like I couldn't get anywhere else. It was just like literally just the connection and then some. So I'm not a type of person just like, well, look, if I see this here, well, I'm gonna go look elsewhere, because that was one of the biggest issues. She thought I was just like elsewhere. Nah, I wasn't. And I was also, now what my big issue was, I felt like I always had something to prove, because everything that was being said was not true, and it's just like, yeah, nah, I gotta show you, type of thing. But not only that, I got attached to her a little bit more because of what I saw in her, and also what I was not willing to step away, because now, and this is where the emotion really came in, because I was willing to do what nobody else had done for me. So I was just like, all right, I know what it was like for that. So I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to be that. On top of other things that I said I was not going to be as well, because there's a lot of other things that I noticed that she experienced, and I was just like, nah, well, first and foremost, it should be easy for me to do that, because I'm not that. And she's going to see that. But unfortunately, she had her own things where it was very murky for her to really notice that, because there was comparisons to previous experiences that she had put me on top of, and I'm just like, are you sure that's me? Like, it got such to a confusing circle that literally it made me wonder. I was like, all the people that you're talking about right now, are you sure that's not you? Are you sure that's even me? But it was very sloppy.
I'm gonna let you know this. Like, your situation, like, you were heavily invested in somebody that was not worth. Like I said before, was not worthwhile. Like,
that really, it seemed like she didn't have no intentions of actually outputting what it is that she wanted.
Yeah,
to take
like, you were pushing out everything that you wanted someone to do for you, but you weren't receiving that. Like, your guilt on having to deal with.
Yeah. She was definitely a taker. She was a consumer.
I know, like, your guilt for just wanting to give what you never got is only benefiting the person that's not going to give it back. And that's like that's like a real huge issue within relationships when you're dealing with like with the whole hold on, let me finish. Like, when you're dealing with the whole aspect of like finances and relationships, like, it's easy to take advantage of somebody if finances are the forefront. Like, if you're going into a relationship where they're just saying, okay, in order for you to get with me, you have to have this amount of money, you have to have this going for you, and all of that. If that is the forefront, then love is not going to be anywhere close.
Well, first and foremost, you ain't gonna catch me with that conversation. because I would have been walked away from you. And that, of course, and I say this numerous of times for a lot of relationships that I've seen or dealt with. If for a lot of people that I dealt with, told me a lot of certain things, and I was like, well, have I known you thought that from the beginning, you would have never had a chance. And see, and that's why I don't like people that take the opportunity for somebody to make a willful decision themselves away, because that's one, that's a form of lying to me, and two, is just like you had to play a cheap way. So if you had any type of attitude or animosity towards what's happening in a relationship now, let's not forget what you had to do to get the relationship started in the first place. So I say that to a lot of people now because, again, I've been told things where they was like, well, yeah, this, and this at the beginning and all. I'm like, well, had I known that, I wouldn't even give you none of my time. I don't care how pretty you are. I don't care where I am in life, because I knew the right from wrong, and had I known this from the beginning, the only advantage you would have had from me is the fact that I've already invested so much time into you. So for it to happen, basically build up over time, that's where the advantages came from. Now, in the earlier stages, if you were saying this, and this, and I would have been like, what? Like, it just like some people knew around me, they had to be careful in the earlier stages until they've been around long enough, because you would have been out ASAP. Like, I've had people that say fearfully, I didn't want to act a certain type of way around you because I was afraid that you would have just like cut me off straight from that. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, yeah, you're right, I would have. There's a lot of shit that I'm not gonna go for. And if you would have told me that what your intentions was, even if it was something simple, whether it was finances or one night stand and all this other stuff, sorry, but not sorry. You can do that with somebody else. You're not going to get that chance from me. I don't care who you think you are. And then also, now, later on in a relationship, you have this attitude about you. You're no longer humble. You feel like you're the shit. And I've learned this from Mike Tyson in his podcast and shit like that. And he put a real spin on it. Being humble is basically just sitting here realizing that you have to stop acting like you're as important as you really are. Where to the point it's just like arrogance at this point. So I was just like, that's real shit. And that's how I look at it. They basically are now feeling the power of all the time that was invested because I'm giving it to them, forgetting how they got started with the relationship or what they had to do to manipulate or keep under wraps for so long to even get that relationship started. So when it came to money, if you're going to sit here and say, oh, man, forefront, I just want this, but I expect this, and this, and this, and this. Oh, well, the streets is there. Go ahead. Because I'm not going to do that. If anything, I'm going to probably help you out one time. But if you're going to continue with, well, this is what I expect. All right, well, what are you going to give me? Because I'm not going to be that type of person, well, I don't expect nothing. No, you're going to give me something. You're going to. And the thing is, I'm not too materialistic. Mm-hmm. I'm actually more on something more solid. Respect, loyalty, the emotional things that are abstract.
You want intangibles.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to keep getting me shoes and coats and all this stuff. So that shit going to wear the fuck off.
Yeah. I prefer to invest time rather than invest money.
Right. So, simple shit like that. Or, I just see, and I am skeptical. I'm naturally skeptical. I'm naturally always observant and looking out of all possibilities. Some people say I'm even pessimistic about it, where they're just like, well, Mark, you're too negative. You worried about the negative too much. No, I'm aware. That means I'm never asleep. I'm always fucking aware. And the thing is, people always thought that they'll get the best of me, and that's the part where I feel like I always had something to prove. Because now it's like, now I gotta show you. Because people always think, oh, well, we played a fool out of him. No, I was always skeptical. Right. I always knew. I just gave you a chance to be mature enough to make it right.
Right.
And you didn't. Now you think you're getting over. So yeah, I've always be alert about certain type of shit. It's just like, all right, well, people can change, because I was not always the best person either, and I've changed. I've come very fucking far.
Yeah, we know.
Not even just from what you witnessed, but just like
Nigga, I've
This-
been around you
this-
since we were kids.
Your simple topic, well, not enough. I don't think you figured me out enough. Trust and believe. The most that you like so far that I've experienced that you witnessed from me being toxic is the fact that you thought I wasn't a one woman man.
Nigga, I knew about the bullshit. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, you say you're observant. So am I. It's not that hard to figure you out.
But yeah, like I was also a taker at some point because of my experiences. I was a taker. I was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna just take. I'm gonna let them do it. Then eventually got to a point where just like, you know what? This is one too much of an advantage and too much of a disadvantage for you. I've gotten to a point where I want people who want to make decisions for themselves and be like, yeah, don't just make it be like, oh, well, this is my decision. I want to give this to you. No,
Right.
if you want to give so much, give to yourself. That's where I'm at now. It's just like give it to yourself because now I've had relationships with you. Just I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing that. I'm like, no, have a mind of your own. Give it to yourself. Do this, and this. I don't mind giving to you either. But like, if you keep trying to give to me just to make me happy, it feels like you're trying to buy me, and I can't be bought. I don't want to be bought.
Yeah, I don't like that feeling.
I do not want to be bought. Don't ever do anything for me just so it can work in your favor to keep me around. Because then if I figure that out, I'm gonna want to diminish you. Like you gotta go. Because you're a manipulator, you're a trickster, and I can't trust you. Like
that's not always the case though.
It's really not.
It's not because some people can't differentiate like the two. They can't go from like just giving you time and giving you money. Like a lot of people just don't know how
first and
to
foremost,
deal with
just
people.
just because you can't differentiate doesn't mean it's not a form of manipulation. If you're trying to literally buy something
No,
to have somebody around, if you're trying to
manipulation
purchase,
is when you intentionally know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like he's saying, like everybody doesn't always know like how to show emotion to people or show love. Everybody wasn't taught how to do that. So
Exactly.
all they can do is go about what they see other people do, or what's in mainstream media.
So, question: if somebody was being toxic, but they thought they were doing something better, but they didn't realize how toxic it was, is it not toxic?
It's still toxic, but at the same time, it's not the same as what you would.
That's
and what
I'm
you're
looking at
alluding to as
manipulation
of right now. Like what you're trying to say is just the person is trying to manipulate you based off of the experiences that you're dealing with. No.
To me,
Hold on,
if
hold
it's
on.
not intentional, it's still a form of manipulation to me.
Like, not necessarily, because what you're saying is like you're trying to compare apples to oranges. That's not how it works. Because if you're dealing with somebody who only knows how to deal with relationships with, but now hold on, wait till we finish. Like, if you're dealing with somebody who only knows how to hand out gifts to people because that's all they've been taught, that's not the same as someone being toxic just because they don't know they're being toxic. That's not the case.
So let me clarify this for you. So I've had people who literally, and I can tell, they're just like, I want to do this because of this. Now, if it's just like, okay, because I want to make you happy or whatever, I've really started to notice and test it out a little bit where I had to get a little more observant, where people just like, well, if this doesn't happen, he won't stay. That's manipulation.
Then you
To
can
me,
say the
that's
same thing for love. Like,
Yeah,
if I-
okay. So basically, you want to keep buying things because you want to keep somebody there at bay. That's a form of manipulation. There's really, to me, there's not too much substance to that. The only thing I'm gonna get is just a bunch of gifts, and then you're gonna be like, yeah, I want you to stay no matter what, bruh. That's not building a feeling for me. I'm not basing feelings off of that. I'm just gonna be
what he's
surrounded
saying
by
is,
a
what if
bunch
they
of
don't?
shit.
What if they don't know?
Okay, so if they don't know, that's one thing. Like, okay, well, I thought I was just doing a good job. I thought I was just making them happy, and we were doing great type of thing. Now that part I get. I get what
that's all you're saying.
so but where I was going based off of was it was a form of manipulation because there's people who are actually intentionally doing that to keep that person there.
Right.
That's
manipulation.
Yes. And I've also seen people where, like, at first I thought it was genuine, but then there was another thing brought up, like, oh yeah, this and this, I did a great job at this, bro. And like, yeah, you're happy about that. I wonder how how anybody gonna top this. Now it's just like, now I'm gonna look at you funny because it's like you had an expectancy. You did this because you wanted to get something back from it.
Okay.
Like, don't ever do that. And see, the thing is, like, I've had people doing stuff for me because I mentioned stuff. I'm just talking, bro. Just talking. And telling you about my experiences, you feel like, all right, well, I got to go out and do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. If you want to do something, let it be from the heart. But if you want to do it just so you're like, all right, well, man, now I did this for you, do it back.
Right.
Before you even give me the chance to either think about it or do it myself. It's just like, now it's like you manipulating. You try to force that.
Okay. I'll bring up a scenario. It's personal. Like, I used to do this. When I was growing up, I was in high school. I used to, matter of fact, it wasn't even just in high school. It was like growing up in general. I would always give more than I'd receive. I really didn't like receiving anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give. It didn't matter what it was, if it was time, if it was money, if it was gifts,
Mm-hmm.
I would give. However, my biggest gripe was, well, with myself back then, was that the reason why I was giving was because I was lacking friendship. I did not know this at the time. However, I'll continue to do that, and just so I could develop more friendships with people, so eventually they would not want to leave because they know what to expect from me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was sort of like a way in, and eventually I would still keep doing that because that's what I felt as though friendships were based off of. So, in a way,
I mean, that kind of stuff is in friendships, but that's not like
the base. Like
right.
That was
yeah.
my foundation.
Right.
I had no idea what the foundation of friendship was.
Right.
So that's what I was going off of. So would you call that toxic, or would you call that manipulation?
Yes,
Because I didn't know?
I would. I mean, just because you didn't know, like, you're not. I wouldn't really fault you entirely because of that, because you were really unaware of what was happening, what was like going on. But you were, to me, what it sounds like, you were still aware that you were doing those things.
I wasn't aware until I was older, until I figured out the reasons why I was doing it.
Okay, and would you now call it toxic?
I would call it that because I know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
now,
problem was I didn't know in the
okay,
time.
just
only
because you
be-
didn't know then doesn't mean it wasn't toxic. You know now, in hindsight, that it was toxic. It was still toxic either way.
If it was, is it necessarily toxic to give?
Is it toxic to give? No, but for what you're giving for, it depends.
But this is dealing with a situation where this is.
I don't feel like that's toxic regardless, though.
I mean, so
well, his situation specifically, I don't feel like that's toxic. Like regardless, like
to him in
giving
his heart, he was just doing he was doing what he thought was normal, what everybody does
for a friendship, yeah. Because the thing is, like I said a few minutes ago, that stuff takes place in a friendship anyway. He was just saying it's not the base of it, but it still goes on.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like that's his situation. I don't feel like that's
Now,
toxic
if
at
you
all.
were doing it just to specifically keep them, that's
Now,
flat out
if he was given to secure the friendship, knowing that friendship would bring some type of huge benefit, or you know what I'm saying? Like
if the
That was-
benefit,
that was
the
never the
benefit
case.
was
It
to
was
keep
just-
the friendship.
It was just
No,
like,
or-
whether they wanted to leave or not. He's just like, yeah, I wanted to persuade the situation.
No, it was that was my foundation. That's what I knew. That was like me giving people gifts or giving people stuff was the foundation of friendships for me. That's
Right.
what I believe.
Yeah, that was the image it painted for you.
right.
Okay,
'Cause
so you wasn't
everybody-
specifically just doing it just like, all right, well, I know they might want to leave, so let me do this type of thing.
Like the reason, I figured out the reasons why I was doing it. Like in my head, like this is what I was dealing with. Same thing with you when you were giving to your ex. Like you did not want to go through the same things that you were put through. Like you had to deal with people taking all the time, and you didn't want to have to deal with that because you didn't want to pretty much go into a situation where, you know what, this is all I have, and they're going to continue to take it away from me.
Right.
So you didn't want to portray that on somebody else. So when I was dealing with that, that's the exact same situation. I didn't want to be the person who was doing the exact same thing that was being done to me, because I know how bad it felt.
Mm-hmm.
So that like created an entire little like
Now,
it
did you
created
ever-
like a sort of a complex.
Did you ever get anything back from them?
Never.
Okay.
I never asked for anything.
Now I have to openly admit, like, that is the difference between my
So
experience.
not even the friendship. You didn't
Friend, like I remained like it was easy for me to make friends. I just didn't know it was easy for me to make friends. Like I was making friends without the money. It was just like that.
No, no. I'm asking like when you said you didn't get anything back when you was given as the base of like the friendship, like they didn't give you the friendship back.
Oh yeah, I had the thing is I had the friendship already. It's just like this is what I knew.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
In order to like be a friend to somebody. That's what I thought being a friend was.
Right.
Same thing with like relationships. That's what I thought being in relationships was.
Right.
Which is the toxic side of having like everyone believe, well, having everyone say, "Men, you're a provider. That's all you are." Hearing that is what made me want to continue to do that.
Right.
And I was providing for everybody but myself, which was a huge problem.
Right.
And that's where I think a lot of people have a lot of this shit misconstrued. When I hear people say like, "Oh, men, you're a provider, you're this and that." What else are we to y'all?
Right.
Yeah. Well, in that sentence right there, first and foremost, I think everybody's providers. Like it's a teamwork, friendship, relationship, all that, family. It's everything is a fucking teamwork. Like you're providing something, whether it's money, services, whatever. You're providing something. Because if it's just gonna be just that one person, then, well, me personally, I'd be like, the hell with all that. Like, now, of course, depending on the circumstances. Now, if I had a family, I can't just up and leave my family. Like a family owned that I created, wife and kids and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that would be more difficult for me to just say, "Oh yeah, the hell with all this," because that's my family, and I'm definitely not leaving my kids.
Right.
So, yeah, you have to kill me to get me away from my kids, but. For you to just be like, well, you got to provide this, you got to do that. And it's just like, what are you doing for this to continue to be a complete circle, for this cycle to actually work and happen? Because it's not like you're just gonna keep take.
But that's the way like society has basically constructed.
Fuck society.
Yeah. I mean, if you go against it, then yeah. But for the average Joe Schmo.
Now I get it. It feels like a completion where you can bring bread on the table, and this is coming from like a native perspective that I have, because I like to be native and shit, like hunt and all this other stuff. I've pictured myself out there, especially like when I get my land. I'm out there hunting. I'm gonna be bringing meat.
Right.
You know.
But the
literally.
But the thing, what I'm trying to explain is like when it comes to society, and we talked about this with the Black Lives Matter movement earlier this year, and it's like a lot of people go with the flow because they got the resources to. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So then it puts like more of an emphasis on the ones that's just trying to say like fuck society and stuff like that. Because before society got like this, the households were what, even?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or it would be 70, 30, 60, 40. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever percentage it is. It's teamwork to make that 100.
Right. But what happened was society took a left turn, got influenced by one thing or another, and then all of a sudden, the guy just has to do everything, and the girls have to reap the benefits because they're the trophy, they're the prize. But what happens is there's a lot of guys out there that could afford to do that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or they were just simply brought up that way, like 100%.
Right. And so what happens is, even though you might know something is wrong, because remember we were saying that about the money and stuff like that with the rich people.
Yeah.
And we protesting for this and that, and at the end of the day, they're not really speaking up about it, because it's like at the end of the day they're gonna be good regardless. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the same thing in this situation. If you got the money, where it's like, well, I could take care of 4 or 5 bras if I wanted to.
Exactly.
Now odds are they're just gonna go with the flow.
Yeah. And they make themselves known too. They make it known that they're out there just so they can put somewhat of like a little more pressure on the people who don't have it.
Right.
So the people who don't have it are we're just sitting here looking up at them like, okay, we know you got it. What the fuck? Like, now you're just making it worse on us.
Right.
And then everybody else is eating that shit up. They're like, yeah, like that's exactly how it's supposed to be out here. And then agreeing with the shit. I'm like, not everybody has that.
Right. Or can get it.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's possible to get this shit. The problem is, a lot of us are in situations that are built for that immediately, because that's all they're asking for niggas to get shit overnight.
Right.
Like, it's just like stocks. You're not going to hit the lottery every fucking time.
Right.
Like, there's always a what if situation.
Right.
Like, you always have to look at the what ifs. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? Everything's not going to go right for you.
Right.
Regardless of any situation, everything's not going to go right. And if you look at this shit that way, you're going to consistently fail, because if you think everything's going to go right, something goes wrong, you hurting now.
But you can see that. You can see that though, because you could tell like who grew up kind of like spoiled, because life has its way of humbling you.
That's where the old school conversations come in from. Though.
Right.
Like, you got to get to know people. Hi, hello, such and such and such. I seen somebody on Instagram who couldn't have said it any better, where basically when you meet a person, before you really get started in a relationship with them, speak of your expectations right then and there. Put everything out on the table now. Plan. If this was this, then this and this, and then blah, 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 blah. And this is what I'm expecting from here. Oh, and what is it that you expecting? Y'all really communicate that shit, because it has
to happen more than once though.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely does.
Yeah.
But the intention is to really filter out all the bullshit from all that. Now, unless the person wants to be totally on bullshit, where they're just going to lie and say whatever.
That's what I was going to bring up, because people do.
Yeah, then that's where it's going to be an issue. But here's the thing. Now, either you're the liar or they're the one who's lying. They're going to have to come to terms with it. Just, well, shit, I faked it till what I thought I was going to make it. But the problem hits the wall. Now it's just like this, and this. But also, for those who are being lied to, you really got to pay attention to the signs since the beginning and also in the middle. Because now when you really have to second guess, the very moment that you really have to second guess anything for a split second, then you are going to literally have to be like, you know what, I'm going to have to prepare for mine. Like,
I would just leave right there. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's some people that leave right there, and for those who stay, I'm not mad for those who have backup plans. And here's the thing:
you mean like cheating, or
no, not backup plan, but like not like cheating, but like backup plan, like for example, you kind of have to get yourself in gear. You have to really self-talk with yourself. If I have to separate from this, is this what's going to be best? Easier said than done.
Yeah,
and just coming from a person who hasn't did it off bat, but
so you're talking about personal reflection and
just like if this was to happen, if I have to
plans.
separate from them now, am I going to be at terms with that or whatever? And like, what's the plan B? How I'm gonna break it down to whatever. Now, see, the thing is, that's not necessarily saying, well, yeah, I'm gonna have. Now that I thought about it, I might have to do it. It's just like, what if? You're always gonna have to have it in there.
But what do I always say? Like, once that idea pops in your head,
it's already like game
it's done.
over.
It's done. It's done. You haven't physically done it, but it's done.
Well, at this point, what is it that happened for you to even have the self-talk in the first place?
That's what I said. Like, I would just up and leave at that point.
If you're already doing something, some people, they're gonna stick with it and see if it unfolds, and there's people who just like, well, look, I had this thought, and I'm not gonna wait around for it to grow bigger. So I'm just
people do that because people they like subconsciously they make the wrong decision, because when you think that thought, you're at a crossroads, and what happens is the crossroads isn't a crossroads. People think it's like a fork in the road, but it's not. Like, you came to that point, so it's forward and it's backwards. When you make that decision that, okay, I'm not going to leave this situation right now, you're turning around and you're starting to go backwards. Because let me tell you, like, and this is I ain't gonna say it's every human, because I'm not physically every person, but subconsciously, what happens is once you become a critiquer in that relationship, that's all you're gonna do from that point on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going, you know what?
So what's the guarantee that change is not gonna happen?
It's rare that it does. Like, what relationship have we seen where it was like that? So, happened.
I would agree.
A person
it's
thinking
rarely,
I need
but
to.
It's not impossible though.
Yeah, I mean, well, anybody that knows me, and I've said it on plenty of podcasts, videos, whatever, I go by analytics. I'm a numbers guy. So you saying rarity, that's already scaring me off, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this isn't something that's likely to happen, odds are it's not going to happen. Like, remember one of the earlier podcasts this year, we was doing the looks versus personality thing?
Yeah.
And we was going by, like, the odds of what, if me and you both went to the mall, odds on who would attract the most females. Remember that?
Yeah.
Now, remember I was saying, like, I'm not guaranteed that you will pull more females. I'm just saying that at odds say that you would. You know what I mean? It's the same thing in this situation. If we going through problems like that, where one, your significant other is lying to you, odds are nobody just cold turkey stops lying to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if we talk about lies, it's just one thing. But like, I'm sitting there thinking like financial situations or whatever that can possibly change. Like right now, I don't got it, but then eventually I could.
Right, but like you said, you already talking about the plan B. I might got to do this without them. You don't think they're doing that?
Yeah, and chances is that they are. Well, see, in my experiences, what I had to learn now is just like, for one, it's never a guarantee with human beings. I'm sorry, human beings, we're faulty as fuck.
It's facts.
So it's just like, now I've gone through many experiences where at first it was just like I didn't really want to have to think about a plan B or whatever, or never really thought of that I needed a plan B, period. Plan B didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I've gone through it, it's just like, all right, well, what's going to be the next preparation? Because the thing is just like, are you going to be okay whether they want you or not type of thing? Are you going to be okay if they're willing to stay or not type of thing? Or if you have to separate yourself, I mean, yeah, of course you're going to probably feel hurt or whatever.
Yeah, you're not going to be okay.
But what is going to be your motivation to keep moving forward away from that, despite of how tough that shit is type of thing? Because like, you know,
it should be to start over.
When it comes to money, we make money together, or we make money together, but also there's something that's a little funny, or I actually came in onto them having more money than me, and then now we're together, so it's kind of like an hours type of thing. But if they was up and leave, that's their money. They're gonna take that with them.
Okay.
So, am I going to need to make a little side jar joint where, if they was up and leave, I still got something for myself type of thing?
And what I'm saying is, once you get to that point, it's already it's a formality at that point.
Yeah, it's definitely
the
definitely a negative seed in there, and and hopefully that it wouldn't have enough nutrients and everything to grow.
No, that's not how it works.
You know,
once you throw a seed down,
yeah.
Sorry.
So, but it's like because people are just
Depends
like,
on the
all
soil
right,
you
well,
plant
you
it
know,
but do you hear the soil? He's speaking the soil now. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely there, and it was suck to even have the opportunity to think like that. But that's a fucking thing.
But everybody does it because it's like, how many times have we talked about somebody being in a relationship, right? And they break up, and like a week later, the girl's with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's that mindset. I might have to build. Let me get the plan B. That's the mindset right there. And instead of leaving that relationship, you're speaking what the person is probably doing. They're just lining it up. And like I said, once you become a critiquer, that's all you're going to do. You're looking for ways out now. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
To me, I mean, I'm not.
Not too specifically.
I was gonna say me personally. I wouldn't be looking because, like I said, I'm woke from both sides.
But what I said, all I'm saying is, once you say Plan B, that's what it is right there. That's why you get the, damn, we just broke up last week. Slim, I thought you said I ain't have to worry about cut. You know what I'm saying? That's what you get.
No, that's naturally what most people will go for. Just like,
right.
Yeah, you know, I'm already gonna have this lineup, and that means that's already set up in order for that separation to happen in the first place. Now, then of course at that point you need to separate because you basically disrespected the relationship with that.
But it's the same thing with money. Like I could break up with a girl and be like, yo, when we was together, she was like hard pressed for cash. We break up in 2 weeks, she buying a new car.
That I get.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the logic.
what-
Like, if they foreshadowed already, this ain't gonna work out. Let me just say my shit, do me. You know what I'm saying? While you invest in the blood, the sweat, and the tears, because the seed's been planted, but because you don't want to leave
Now,
at that moment.
when it comes to me and finances, like,
All right.
you know, now if I was to ever set anything aside, right, it's like it's on the side, but not on the side. It's on the side because
That's cheating.
that's like I'm
Financially
setting
cheating.
I'm setting it in play, but also when it comes to take care of the household, I'm still using it.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's like we get like if there was one account here, like this is the joint account, and then this is the separate account. Boom.
Okay.
So I'm using money from both sides to even take care of the household. But that side account is always going to have something in there.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
Period. Because you never know when somebody's just going to be like, up this, and this, and this, and this.
You gotta cover your bases.
Now, whether they knew about that side account or not, me personally, I still would be using to take care of the household from even that side account. Sometimes they're like, all right, well, but you know, joint account we can't really touch too much or whatever. But I still have something on the side saved up. All right, cool. I'll just use that. Groceries, house bill, you know, mortgage or whatever. All right, cool. Because at the same time, I still got to live in that house too.
I mean, it would depend because it's like odds are she got I ain't gonna say a secret account. She got a personal account too, but she's not touching anything because she knows you going into yours.
I mean,
I just
like,
think like
that's if she knows about it. If she knows about my my side account.
you probably gonna find out. It's
But
else.
I mean, and if you do, all right, cool. But I'm still gonna have something sitting
Right.
on the side for me,
Right.
whether you up and leave or not. If you got all that saved up, all right, cool. That's you. You
Yeah.
made that money. All right, fine. What the fuck ever.
Right.
But me, I know I'm going to need something when you dip out.
Right.
Damn, you said when.
Right.
I
but that's what,
I like
but that's
you
what-
said when.
and that's what, but you mind it, bro. If you you already looking forward to it, why not just leave? Like point blank.
I mean, because to be honest with you, it's not no guarantee. I could be over exaggerating. Like for one, I know for a fact I'm not prone to not over exaggerate, or I'm not prone to not being wrong. I could be wrong or
bro,
whatever.
but that's bull,
That-
bro.
and that's
bull.
why I'm still using from both accounts and all this other-
Relationship wise, how many times have you been wrong?
Plenty.
As far as like when to break up and when to not break up, not just throughout the relationship. I'm talking about like when it came to an executive decision like that. How many times have you been wrong,
No,
bro?
there had definitely been a lot of times where it's just like, damn, I fucking knew it, or it
Right.
turned out to be like, damn, why could I just be wrong?
Right.
But I'm not sure
Yeah,
what.
because, you know,
Now,
you're
to be honest,
you're trying to
I'm not
discredit yourself.
I'm not entirely sure what led up to that point where it was a big ass fucking coincidence. But I do know for a fact what it was that I was worried.
Now, what I tell you,
Now,
when
what I
you-
was worried
you came
about,
over here
it did
yesterday
happen.
and the other day. What I tell you about coincidences? What I tell you about? This is a pre. Hold on, pause.
I
Previous
mean, it
debate.
could-
You wasn't
it could-
here.
it could
You wasn't
be.
here for this previous debate. I said exact same thing. I said, you know what? We give too much credit to coincidences because as time goes on, you look back. And you be like, damn, that wasn't no coincidence. This shit was happening the whole time. And what did he just say?
I'm
What
not
did he
gonna
just?
lie. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that it's not a possibility I haven't gaslighted myself with that word. Because
No, I'm saying that we do, but I'm like we take accountability for so many people and throw it into that term coincidence.
Well, that's where my aggression comes in now for a lot of things too. Because now, like, definitely some people say, "Mark, you too fucking aggressive in these relationships," or even the girl will say, "You're too aggressive." Nah, it's just like I said, I'm woke, and enough is enough.
Right.
So like, there are certain bounds where it's just like, nah, bro, like, fuck that shit. Like, you know, this is it or whatever, you know, type thing. And they be like, no. And then next thing you know, I see what it is. It's like I'm being a fortune teller, like, dog, like I predicted this.
Right.
So
And
you
then
know,
and then it's that moment where you just like, damn.
but then now it's just like, you know, it could be whatever it is that led up to it. I don't fucking know.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could have been already existent while I was complaining about it in the relationship type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a possibility, yes. But again,
No, I'm just saying, bro.
I know there's chances I
like
could be wrong.
he's literally sitting here discrediting his own conscience to like stay in a situation where he
Well,
just shouldn't stay.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, to stay in the situation.
All I'm saying,
if it's going to go apart, it's going to come apart.
Right, and all I'm saying is there's a
and
moment.
when it does,
there's a moment
there's
in
something
every
already there.
There's a moment in every situation where everybody has and that thought pops into their mind. Damn, this ain't gonna work out. Am I lying?
It happens.
Every situation,
exactly.
bar none.
Even
all
married couples right now, they had that same thought.
Right, and
everybody has a backup.
and
But do you see them separated right now?
eventually it's gonna happen.
So every married couple out here.
No, not everyone.
Because
but
I'm telling you, I guarantee you,
is the
like,
divorce rate not the highest it's been in history?
Quite a bit because
it's definitely
nowadays
some
we
high
live
divorce
off of,
rates.
like really unrealistic expectations,
Right.
which is a huge problem in relationships nowadays.
But
we
I
let
know-
a lot of outside
but I
sources
do know there's
influence
some,
relationships and shit like that.
very
Yeah, that's
healthy
also
couples
true.
out there that are out there that admitted that there's times where it's just like, bruh, like they thought to themselves like, yo, bro, like I don't know, and
I'm not saying
this might
I'm
be
not
it,
saying
and,
it's
you know, I
100.
gotta do this.
I'm not saying it's 100% this way, but I'm just saying like based on your personal situation, you're gonna know when it's time to go. Whether you choose to go is on you. I'm saying that you were sitting here discrediting your own self to stay in a situation when you knew it was time to go and you ended up going eventually. All I was saying was that over the last couple of years, I've kind of like sharpened up on just once I hit that scenario, no matter how much it hurt, it's a wrap. Because
I got some of that in me too, though. Now, I'm not gonna
Pause.
say for all relationships.
yeah, pause.
Wow.
I only said it because Mike said it.
But now I got some of that in me too, where it's just like,
Pause again.
shut up. Where not all my relationships was gonna get that. All right, well, that fight chance. It's literally there's definitely gonna be somewhere if it's just like this. It's like, all right, well, you know what? All right, cool. Well, you got it.
Yeah,
Have fun.
No, it can. I ain't saying they got to be the first altercation. You just not. No, but if you breaking
like I
up
said,
to
me
make
as
up.
an observer,
Right.
like I said, I do sit on things to a point where, like I said, I will allow you to hurry because if I notice it, I'm gonna allow you to get it together because you know what's happening,
Right.
and figure it out. But eventually, if it's just going to be a consistent thing, eventually this just be like, all right, you know what?
You gotta wash your hands.
Yeah. So
You gotta wash your hands.
you know, but there are some that's going to actually get a little bit more fight than others.
I mean,
I know
and that's-
that times like,
that's-
and I'm not trying to say that I'm intentionally do that. I just know that stuff like that happens. I can't guarantee that one
thing-
relationship might not get more fight than the other.
It happens, but how many times can it happen?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's facts. Because sometimes it's just gonna be like enough is enough, or
Yeah.
whatever. But if that's the case, then why keep
It may-
trying with relationships?
it may
Because
be-
then that means it's just like literally. Then that eventually, that's when it's gonna be like, all right, well, damn, like, well, you know, this goes wrong, you out. This goes wrong, you out. This goes wrong, you out.
Now,
like,
that may
now
be-
I'm gonna just be tossing them back and forth.
Now that may be a bad habit that I had picked up like over the last few years, but I feel like in order to really protect yourself with armor going into a situation, I feel like that's the best thing to do because it's like if a relationship is like what Mike was saying earlier on a healthy foundation, then a lot of that little stuff is not going to be happening consistently. It can happen, but damn, consistently.
So are you
Especially after you communicate.
So even after like this situation happened, you're not the type of person where like, look, this is my standards, this is my ground, this is where I'm at right now. So it's either this is gonna change, or we done, or you just gonna simply just be like, all right, well, look, that's kaput.
No, I'm a communicator.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
That
that's
is.
what I meant. And that's the fight that I'm talking about. Like, you
But
gonna
that's
get
not
more
a fight though,
So
because
it's just
it's
like-
it's not like you said time after time and eventually. There's no
Well,
eventually.
I
with
know
me.
there's things that's gonna happen that's gonna be hurtful to us, and that's why I call it a fight. Because it's like, damn, man, like that really struck me, and I'm not
we
gonna
need
lie.
to change that narrative, like that whole. If we have a disagreement, it's considered a fight. We need to change that. narrative.
Yeah, that's true too.
But like, I'm willing to put in the energy after whatever the first strike is. It was just like, yo, or whatever, first, second strike, or whatever the case may be. Because sometimes the first strike hits hard as fuck. So he's just like, all right, well, you know, I ain't gonna lie to you. That bothers the fuck out of me, and that's gonna be sitting on the brain a little bit. But that's why I call it a fight, because you have to put in, you're exerting some energy to kind of push past that, but also you're vocalizing and communicating like, look, this is not the type of shit I'm going for.
Okay.
Now, of course, that's also a form of protection. You either have the standards you laid out on the table. It's either this or it's just like, nah. Now, of course, I would say be reasonable, because there's some people that literally like to a point where they're standing their ground, and it now officially sounds like an ultimatum, where they have the entitlement or expectancies that's just unfucking reasonable.
Right.
It's just like, nah, I want this. Like, if you can't give me this, then
Yeah.
But like, if it's something
Yeah,
that's
me-
doable,
me-
it's just like,
Me personally, I'm not like that. I'm more, like I said, I'm a communicator, and I'm more so of a compromiser. So if we can reach like a common median,
right.
then that's cool. But if we can't, then it just is what it is. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That-
And then there's points where I actually have left relationships where it's just like, yep, like this is now too consistent. It's too much of a thing. And
Because
it's like-
you've been in a situation where you was like, I don't. The last relationship I was in, Shorty did that, and this is what that
Yeah,
ended up
certain
being.
things seem familiar, but then also there was just other things that were new to me. It was just like, bro, like, you keep doing this. You saying you was gonna change it, and you didn't.
Yeah.
And now it's just like,
Yeah.
first and foremost, like, you can't question me now why I'm angry or frustrated now, because it's just like, yeah, I gave you chance after chance. I fought for this. Like,
Right.
it was difficult from before dealing with it the last few times or whatever, or even the first time.
Yo, I just thought of this, but in this situation, well, in any type of situation in a relationship, if you get to a point where you're constantly defending your own character, then you should not be in that relationship.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's no getting over that.
Now,
If
there's some people who are gonna learn while in the situation. There's gonna be people who's gonna learn when they get left. But one of the biggest objectives is that, like, really is to learn. And see, that's how we learn too. Sometimes we also have to be dealt with consistently, and then eventually, if we end up getting left or whatever, we either learn in that situation right then and there before it's time to evacuate, or if we get left, then that's how we also learn it, because like
not always.
we
Some
all
people
have
get
that.
left and they just get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, that would-
you could break.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
There's just some people, but also that also depends if you have people around you who have witnessed certain things, and just the yes men that don't really keep it real with you.
Okay.
Because like, if you got somebody that's keep it 100 and they can map it out for you, like, look, this happened, they did this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Like, let me clear it up for you in case you forgot or you didn't recognize right away. This is what's happening, and this is why they're gone. Or this is why they feel this way now before they even decide to leave. Or because they could be at this breaking point now, but they still giving it a chance for that split second for you to get your act right. Now, it's always, we all got that. We all have something where we have this intolerable thing, or what seems to be intolerable or insufferable, that all of us deal with, and it's just like we're giving it a fighting chance or whatever for it to clear up. Example, I'm sure when I had my dark days, you guys stuck through it, irritated as fuck. It's just like
Definitely
you were
irritating.
you were
Definitely
you were exercising your patience, because one, you were like, bruh, it's clear as day in our heads. It's clear as day. We spelling it out for you, but like, we just dealing with this. We dealing with this and dealing with this. But I'm pretty sure if that shit continued, y'all would have been like, you know what? I don't want to see you no more. Just like,
Nah, it was.
Nah, it wouldn't
was
have
like,
happened.
It just
you
like
was,
it would have.
you was making progress though.
Yeah, like as long as
So-
you were making progress, it was
right.
cool.
Yeah.
If you
Now, but I suppose if I had not, like, you would have eventually wanted to separate.
Nah, we not separate, but I would have stopped giving you advice.
Yeah, that
Like that's just how it
Yeah,
works.
well, then me personally, I would have handled it a little differently. I probably would have handled it a little differently. It would have.
No,
probably
because
stop,
at the end of the
like,
day, when you was
me-
going through what you was going through, you still wasn't a bad person.
Yeah.
Now, if you was a bad person along with going through what you was going through, then I can't fuck with Mark no more. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
No, you still cool dude. You was just going through a rough patch.
Me, it's gonna be steps. Eventually, it's gonna be like, all right, cool.
Man,
Then it'll be like, I'm gonna stop giving you advice. Then eventually, it's just gonna be like, I'm stepping back. I'm gonna let you do you, or whatever. Now, of course, like, when you're ready and you got it together or whatever, like, I'm here. Hit me up. But like, I'm gonna let you do all that, because eventually, because you're gonna. Sometimes we of course we end up being a crutch for each other, And then so we're not. Sometimes we don't learn
ESPN
right
plug.
then and there. Yeah, see, get this nigga some money, man.
Please.
So, but yeah, eventually we just be a crutch. So some people are not learning with that crutch being around.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of it being a crutch. But then there's some people who get it, or some people just like, damn, I lost this, and I was like, I ain't got no choice to fucking learn it. And again, of course, if you have the yes man who's not really explaining it to you, just like, oh yeah, man, fuck him or this, then of course you're gonna stay blind.
Right.
Now, if some people who
Sometimes
are,
they don't even take the yes men. It just take them not wanting to learn.
yeah, that too,
Yeah. Because you,
or
can-
that
you
too,
can have solid people around you.
and then of course there's the I don't know what the numbers is of these type of people who just literally would take the time to actually sit by themselves and think, like, you know what, damn, I see why now. Like, I don't want to say that's rare, but it might be. But
A lot of people don't do well when it comes to reflecting.
Yeah. I'm a good self-reflector. I think you are
or
too.
there are some people that reflect,
Yeah.
but too prideful to be
A
like,
little
you know
too
what,
good at-
too prideful to swallow that pill. There's some people that reflect and too prideful to swallow that pill, and it was just like, man, I'm embarrassed, so I'm gonna just act like it didn't even happen.
Yeah, I mean the pride. Half the people on Earth got too much
Yeah.
pride.
There's some
Yeah.
people that really look like mad, fucking naked after doing their shadow work, and just like, yeah, bro, like I'm just gonna not mention this shit. I'm not gonna go back and say sorry or whatever. I'm for real. I'm gonna block this out of my equilibrium.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
that's completely wrong. If you can't apologize, then that's
It's a lot of it.
And there's
And
people out there that do
we
that
was talking
shit.
about this too. Like, remember beforehand we were talking about like certain females and shit like that. Instead of them learning from their mistakes, they just try and forget about it.
right. Yeah, yeah. So that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
But no, it's when it comes to that whole situation thing, I guess the way I think about it is like you go into it like when you were saying like learning lessons. I'm more so thinking about like protection. You know what I'm saying? And I guess
It all depends on what you're fighting for, though, bro. It's all about what you're doing it for.
yeah. Well, I mean in the sense of like going into a situation and you just knowing like how stuff is nowadays, and you want to just keep yourself protected as best you can. You know what I mean? Because what you went through, what I went through, what he went through is not a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a form of like trying to look out for people to keep them away from that feeling as much as possible. And I feel like the longer you stay in those kind of situations, the worse you are. You know, the longer it's gonna take you to heal. Like the longer, you know what I'm saying?
And that does make sense. And
Right.
I get where you coming from as well, especially nowadays, because people have gotten worse. People are definitely out here on some scheming shit. for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But now, only reason why, like, now I've actually developed the mindset of trying to just kind of like work it out and self-evaluate. And thanks to the shit that I went through is why I also got better at taking ownership, reflecting on myself, and also being conscious of my mistakes. Because one, that makes a better me. Period.
Right. Okay.
So now I'm not insufferable. It diminishes the ammunition that you have against me and why I would be at fault for why the separation happened. But also, because of that, like because I was on the defense now, before this got as worse as it was, I was kind of like that now. I was always, it was a comparison of certain things. Like, man, this is similar, this, and this, and this, and this. And that actually brought me to my most pessimistic self, to a point where there was a lot of people that didn't even have much of a good chance, that could have had, where things could have been a lot better had I just, like, set back off of those thoughts. Not saying that it's totally wrong to be protective of yourself for that.
Okay.
And that's why I said I'm woke and I'm aware. That's never going to go away. I'm not going to fault myself for being quote unquote paranoid.
Right.
That's me being smart
Right.
and inquisitive.
Right.
So I'm going to do that, but real niggas move in silence. So I'm going to observe you, and you might not even know it, but you're going to play a fool out of yourself eventually, because I'm already hip to this. I'm peeping this out. Now, I'm going to set a window and a time frame for you to get it together, and if it don't happen,
that's what communication comes in. Like,
yes,
you can't just make all these moves and not say it.
Yes,
Right,
now
right.
of course, but of course there's always going to be communication, but the thing is though, you don't know how long I've observed it. You may not know how long I observed it, but when I bring it to your attention, of course I'm going to be like, hey, this, and this bothered me, or this, or whatever. This is what I'm having an issue with, and of course, likewise, coming from you, you're going to tell me what you have an issue with as well.
I feel as though you should have nipped it in the bud in the second instance. Once it becomes a repeated thing, then you nip it in the bud. Don't observe it too long. Eventually, it's going to just piss you off, and then you're not going to like the person anymore.
And by that time, the other person probably already made it a habit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't.
Because they think you're okay with it.
Well, again, that's where the communication and showing where your standards are.
Right.
Because it's just like, yeah, if this is going to happen, I'm leaving you. Like, I'm leaving. It's out. Like, I'm done.
Well, that's the ultimatum.
And
I thought you didn't want to do that.
No, what I take as an ultimatum as like,
no, you either do this or I'm out. You just said it.
Well, the way I use those words, but like, if this does not change, like, for things getting better. But to me, what I see it as an ultimatum is like, I want this, and whether it's right or wrong, I want it, and if I don't get it, kaput. Now, where
Not
the word
necessarily base
compromising,
definition, but all right.
Right.
now the word compromising.
That's not compromising.
No. What I'm getting is the
Okay.
compromising. We're working together, not like, okay, well, is there anything I need to fix? This, and this, for things that are actually negative.
Right. Gotta be reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I said before when I'm talking about that. If it's reasonable,
Mhm.
then I don't feel like it's really ultimatum type of thing.
Okay.
So there's that. But of course, draw your standards and show them like, hey, look, man, look, if you can't really do this, if it's an issue for you, whether for a fact that you can't stop it now,
Mm-hmm.
or well, not now, but because sometimes you gotta give things a little time. But for certain stuff. But if you know for a fact that you won't stop doing this, all right, cool. Let me know. We out. Or it's just like, I'm gonna give this some time, and I'm allow this to reflect and try to let this grow a little bit, but also I'm still being mindful and I'm watching this, and if it's just going to continue to get out of hand at a certain point, I'm out.
Okay.
So just so they know for a fact, well, look, he's serious, he's not playing. Because if you continuously to do that for like a dumb amount of time, I don't know if a year is too long.
Yeah,
but
that's too long.
definitely too long.
That's
It's
too long
just
already.
like, if you do that for a year or so, then it's just like, oh, yep,
Like,
it's a habit.
If
And
you
it's-
keep doing that like
if
maybe
you-
3 or
if you-
4 times
he-
afterwards, then
and-
Yeah.
if you're doing it
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and it's gradually different scenarios where they're testing a damn near the same thing, but in different situations, just like now it's like, yeah, I feel like you testing me.
It also feels
Now,
it also
I'ma
depends
have
on how
to-
severe the problem is
Yeah,
too.
now I'm gonna have to
That's
show
also facts.
you. It's just like, all right, I'm stepping back, and now it's just like, of course you can't just talk about it. You really have to show them, and then that's what people want to really get their act together. Because now it's just like, yo, like, I didn't expect that. Like, some people really think it's a fucking game,
Right.
or they don't think it's a game, but it's just like they just don't know. They can't comprehend how serious it is.
Right.
So it's just like, now you have to like, all right, cool, gone. Just like, trying to, I know this is going to be a stupid example, but, oh yeah, you shouldn't try to walk on a wet log. Man, shit, I don't know how serious it is, man. I'm going to try to walk on this wet log. I bet you I can cross it just easy. And you slip. Oh, damn. Almost bust my ass. That's a little serious.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not walking on a log, period.
No, they're
Yeah.
not.
No matter the condition.
Yeah,
Or black
Fat
ice.
people.
Or
Like,
black ice.
I
Like,
think it
it's
makes
just
you
like,
think-
yeah, man, I think I can cross. Like, you're not going to, your most optimum sincerity is not going to be there until, or at least for most of the time, until it's tested.
Right.
So, yes, I get the whole being on guard type of thing, and also have I will also have grounds and standards for certain stuff.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to have the same tolerance with everybody, because also, depending on the vibe and attitude that you have,
Mm-hmm.
that's also how I'm going to measure my tolerance with you in the first place. Because, like, if you just, like, all Brody off Bucks, then it's just like, all right, well, you know what, cool. Since we're like that, this is what this is right now. This is what I'm feeling about it. And then if we can't make a compromise, all right, peace, thank you. Nice to meet you. All this other stuff, it's been great. And all this other stuff.
Okay.
Now, if you want to get it right, we can communicate later. But other than that, man, you know.
Understandable.
Yeah, it's understandable.
But there are going to be some where it's just like you're not 100% insufferable. I understand. We all have our flaws and our issues. Let's fix this. This is what I noticed. This is what I get an issue with. Can we please try to fix this? And whether you give a fuck about it or not, it's going to show. And I'm a type of person where I'm allow it to show because I don't want people to sit here and try to blame me for anything that I do. That's the type of person I am.
They're still gonna find a way to blame
Like-
you anyway.
Oh,
So
yeah.
at that
I
point,
mean,
it don't
if
even
you
matter.
are, but see, I'm not gonna. For one, I don't feel as bad about it. And see, and this is just the type of person that I am. Period. And it feels great to be. For me, it feels great. You might call it toxic. I will allow you to set yourself up for my response. Period. Because I'm allow you to fuck around. And I'm just like, all right, cool. It's building up. You won't stop. And like, you're going to notice it's just like, all right, I already told you before. And two, if you just want to keep doing it and you just unsubconsciously not give a fuck, that means you're careless. So when I respond to you, you can't now, and status, you can't be mad at me for me responding to you because you just kept on with it.
But they're gonna be mad at you anyway if they're that type
But-
of person.
But at that point, I'm not going to give a fuck. I don't feel guilty about it because I responded. And I know for a fact that I was not 100% wrong for that now.
Okay.
But now if I just like do this, boom, 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 I'm like, damn, you know what? I could have gave it a shot to actually deflect this in a better way. But I chose just to go off the hinges right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that type of person. Now I have a responses where it would seem like that because I know my responses can be extreme. I know I'm capable of extreme responses.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I'm a
he's
type
not
of
villain.
person but I'm a type of person where I'm gonna allow you to have this backstory to as to why. If you ask why, oh well, this and then this and this and then and this and oh and this, like, and then eventually in the back of your head, as much as you want to either get mad or tell the truth out loud, you're gonna think in the back of your head, fuck, he's right,
Bro.
and you know I'm right, I know I'm right, or whatever. This is the reason why.
So you counted way too many fingers for me. It would have been with me this and this and this. Oh, I'm gone.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not exactly how it's going to be, but it's just
My
like, you
man
know,
count
like,
like 6-7 fingers.
so, but you know, you get
many
what I'm saying.
problems
It's
he
just
got?
like, come on, you can't complain deep down and all this other stuff. And if you was to tell everybody else, shit, for those who are not yes men or whatever, if they come and ask me the same thing, look, this is what I told her, and then blah 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 XYZ, and you know I'm telling the truth. So it is what it is.
Right.
So, and on top of that, like I said, I get to walk away, and it's not just for the benefit of that person. It's actually for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to walk away like, you know what? I don't feel bad at all. I really don't. I gave it a shot. I know I gave my best.
Yeah.
I actually gave it a chance.
See, I understand the reason why you would do that, but intentionally prolonging a situation just so you can get a feel as though you're
not-
gonna feel better afterwards.
not-
Wait,
not
wait, wait.
just,
Hold up. Let me finish. Because I know my man, like he revving up and shit. Like once he started to get going and shit, it's just like 18 wheelers down the road and shit. Like I got like about 700 miles to go. Like nah, let me get my time and shit. I only got about a good 40 miles. I'll give you I'll give you the 660 afterwards. Go ahead. Like, so like with you like trying to prolong that situation and you wanting to like feel as though you're not at fault for it initially like once you get to the point where you're noticing these things in succession, then you shouldn't feel bad ever. Like not unless you're doing something to warrant it. If it doesn't involve you and they're continuing to do it, you should not feel bad about it. Like I know you're kind of doing the reverse situation of how women like deal with like getting out of relationships. Like they'll gradually over months past, they'll gradually go from being madly in love to setting themselves up to where once they leave, it's done. They don't even feel shit.
Right.
You're doing the reverse of that. You're continuing to be in the relationship just long enough so you don't feel bad when you leave, even though it's causing you pain anyway.
Well, first and foremost, this is not just for relationships. This is for in general. Like, this is how I am generally for anybody that I deal with, even if I meet you for the first time. And on top of that, I'm not really purposefully doing that. Well, I am, but then I'm not. It's just like, I'm going to let you hang yourself. Now, I
They're
can't.
dark.
Yeah,
So-
definitely kind of dark.
And see, I'm not going to allow you, I'm not going to hand you the rope or anything like that. I'm going to let you create your own rope and everything. So when that happens, it's like, all right, cool. It's either we going to get off of that shit and be positive and try to go in a positive route or not. But if you want to continue, that's up to you. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to stay super long, because really there is no real time frame for that. I have no set time frame for it. It could happen after 10 minutes, the first day, after 2 weeks, whatever. It's on random, because my tolerance is whatever it is. But at the same time, I know for a fact, I'm not just going to be like, oh, well, yeah, you know what? This happened. I don't like it. Tastes bad. Put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. Because then nobody's going to get a fucking chance if that's the case.
Okay. So
And that's just like, then I wouldn't be able to deal with life. Oh, I don't like this, and this. Oh man, I can't fucking deal. You know, this is just wrong. No, like, you have the endurance for certain shit. So eventually, it's just like, all right, like, I'm slowly stepping back, or I'm just like, all right, are you done? You want to continue? All right, I'm finished. I'm out.
Yeah.
So it like I said, it can happen right then and there. It can happen after a little while. It's just like, literally, my point is, there's gonna be a reason for me to leave.
mm-hmm.
I say I do everything for a reason. I'm like that sign with the snake. Don't tread on me. Like, everything that I do is a reason. It's literally a response. Because a lot of people would sit there and say, Mark, you just do this and you're a monster. No, the fuck it ain't. I'm not a monster. Or I can be, because of how bad it feels for you, but it's for a reason. I don't do things just because. I don't start shit. I finish it. And it is not, and I didn't pick that up just because it sounds like a cool motto. No, I lived by that even as a child, and I didn't even know I was doing it. Like, I'm not one of those type of people. I'm like, what the fuck I look like? I feel bad. I'll feel guilty. I have my conscience where it's just like, well, shit, man, I did this and blah, 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 and it turned out bad for me. For real, if it turns out bad for me, I can't be mad at nobody else but myself. That's for, like, motherfuckers who want to go around hitting people just because and whatever, and they were the first one to throw the punch. But then if they lose the fight, man, I feel fucked up and shit about that. No, nigga, you started it. I'm the person where it's like, man, you know what? You want to have all this build up on me and all this other stuff, and you have the first offense, cool. But if I whoop your ass, that's your fault. Because I'm not going to be the first one to do it. I love finishing shit. Because now it's just like, hey, yep, now what did we learn?
Oh shit! Yeah,
So-
that's what led to you hanging niggas over balconies and shit.
Yeah, or smacking his man's out when they.
Yeah, the cereal still
Yeah.
And there was even build up with that. And I when I explained it to him, he was just like, you know what? Yeah, I see it now. I was like, all right, cool. Now, yeah, it was a fucked up situation, and I even fucked up. I still felt a little fucked up about it. Because looking at other situations and scenarios where, one, I didn't do anything to him, but just seeing him in the different other scenarios, emotional scenarios, it was just like, damn, bro, like, he hurting anyway. But after explaining it, he was just like, yeah, I get it. I see it. You know, nah, I know. I don't know. It wasn't totally for no reason.
But did the
Just because you
behavior
wanted to be ass.
persist?
Did the behavior persist? No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. As long as it doesn't keep going, we're good.
Change behaviors. That's the goal. So
Exactly. As long as the behavior does not stay the same, that's fine. But
And see, on top of that, it wasn't like a whole intention, like, oh yeah, man, if he continues to act like this, I'm still off. And it was literally like snap action. It was just like, it happened. I was like, damn, man. Like, even I'm thinking in the back of my head, did that just happen? And I was just like, I could have seen that happening. And it built up or whatever. And I don't know if he knew or if he was aware. And he just thought that I wasn't going to do anything about it. But now he sees it. And now I see it. And then after explaining it to him, after sobering up, both sobering up, it was just like, yeah, I get why you did that. And there's actually just some where literally people just wanted to test me and see if I was gonna do something back, and then they even learned it was just like, oh, okay, so he's not a pushover about this shit.
Yeah, just in relationships, that's the only thing.
But in relationships, like, then it's me stepping back. When I finally step back, it's just like, yo, like, this nigga actually left. He's not answering my phone calls. He actually hung up on me. I've actually had girls who were not expected and got real mad, but like really hurt about me hanging up on them, because I'm not really a person that hangs up on people. I didn't like it when it happened to me, but then two, it was just like, I just felt like it was just flat out rude. So it was like we're gonna talk about it, but then it was just points where it's just like, oh, you didn't want to listen, you want to do this, you want to continue. Oh, well, I was like, all right.
Yo, I want to tell you, like, this story, this shit is real. It's kind of toxic in a way, but I like, this is one of the few times where I hung up on somebody, and I was actually this situation very vulgar. I ain't gonna lie.
Very vulgar though.
It is, nigga. Like, I was in one of my moods and shit. Girl called me and shit. She on the phone doing a do and shit. Like, you know what she wants out of it. Like, she want me to start talking to her all nasty, and she was like, nah, bro, I don't feel like it, bro. Like, you ain't even taking none of my feelings into consideration. And shit. I was in one of those moods.
That damn exhausted. You ain't want to have phone sex.
Yeah, I ain't want to do all that, bro. I was like, fuck it, man. I ain't got time for this today. Bro,
mentally exhausted.
I'm like, hey yo, just chill the fuck out and shit. Like, I ain't got time for that today. Like, nigga, she sitting on the phone moaning and shit. I'm like, bro, chill the fuck out. She keep going. I hang the fucking phone up. She called me back, pissed off, bro. She was mad as fuck, bro. Like, when I tell you, like, nigga, when I tell you, like, she was mad,
she was just sexually frustrated.
No, nigga, she was mad. Like, to the point where she was like, I don't think this is gonna work out and shit like that, because I never had anybody hang up on me and shit like that. I was like, bro, this now is not the fucking time.
Right.
Like, you ain't give a fuck about anything I was doing with my life. Now I just gotta deal with your shit.
Facts.
I'm like, bro, I could have been on the verge of killing myself, and you called me with that shit.
Right.
I'm like, come on, bro. Highly unnecessary. Highly unnecessary. Definitely, like, deviated from the entire subject, but I thought, like, since the nigga mentioned, like, hanging up on people, I was like, all right, maybe this is like a little funny little tidbit.
And you not even here.
Nah.
Yeah.
This nigga go outside, take a piss and shit. Like, can't stand this nigga, bro. This nigga has the bladder of an infant.
Yeah.
But whole time, shit, like, it's been a pretty decent podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely dope.
And we ain't gonna get a chance to have Mark come back in and do the little sign off and shit.
Oh yeah. I start a whole nother conversation or something.
Yeah, no bullshit. No bullshit.
Yeah, so we'll do it while it's pretty decent.
Hell yeah, man.
Breaking the Narrative Podcast, BTN for short. And I'm Teddy.
I'm Tony, and that was the oh so real Mark Anthony.
The real Mark Anthony. We out.
Yeah.